Hey guys! So today is the day you have all been waiting for. So we are finally taking the Honda CRF450RL on a motocross track with big jumps, by the way. And I think everybody knows that a 450 can get airborne, but what happens when you land? That's what we're gonna find out in this video. And for your information, I've been riding motocross for over 20 years and I know how to feel the difference between different types of suspension and different types of suspension settings. So that's probably going to be useful for you guys. And we're also going to go through some cool GoPro footage. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how I completely overjumped the 75-foot tabletop and flat landed it, maybe jumping, I don't know, 80 or maybe even 90 foot. I'm also going to do some small whips on the bike and maybe a small scrub just to see how the bike handles, because it is a heavier bike. So I also think a lot of people would like to know like how it does the more advanced handling, but more on that later. For example, this jump right here is about 70 foot and we got another one over there that's about 75. And the track has just been rebuilt, so it's fresh. And some of the jumps are quite big, not as big as we hoped for, but big enough to see if the suspension works well. So what we've done with the suspension setting for today is we've gone all the way full hard on compression and also slowed down the rebound all the way in clockwise and then 2 clicks out. And with the shock rear suspension, we have also gone full hard on compression, both fast and slow. And then with the rebound on the shock, we have gone all the way in to slow it completely down and then 5 clicks out just to find the starting point, okay? And then most importantly, we have put a zip tie on the front suspension. So we're gonna be excited to follow and check that after the first ride and see if it bottoms out or not, because that's the big question. And for motocross riding, by the way, with tire pressure, we have put 13 psi, both front and rear, and that should do the job also with the tubeless. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so now we're gonna do our first lap with the GoPro helmet camera. And the goal of the first lap is not to clear any jumps actually, but simply to try jumping about 1/3 or maybe half of the length of the tabletops, also the big ones. And then we are going to have a look at the zip tie after the first lap and see how that looks like. Because realistically, just jumping like 1/3 or half of the jumps is what most CRF450RL riders will probably do, as they will be your standard street rider who maybe does a little bit of trail riding once in a while and then also does commuting a lot and then maybe once in a while go on a motocross track without wanting to go really big on it. But today I'm gonna go big for you guys on this bike. Try to make the most useful in-depth testing video on how this bike performs on the track. And here we get to a big tabletop. This is the 75-footer. And then we have another tabletop here. Okay. And then we're coming to a small tabletop here. I actually just decided to clear that one. And then we got some single jumps here. And then the last turn before the finish line. So here's small tabletop and then big tabletop. This is the 70-footer, but we just jump about 1/3 of that right now. And then we're gonna roll in and check the zip tie. Okay, so I did like halfway of the jumps and it didn't even bottom out.
It looked like it bottomed out then.
Almost, but there's still like 3 centimeters.
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's fully capable, because I will have a softer landing if I clear the jump than if I jump halfway.
Yeah.
So good news, man. Okay, and now you're gonna see me ride a full lap recorded by my cameraman from the outside. So then you can get a better idea of how the track actually looks like. Because all the jumps actually look smaller when you see them on the GoPro. It actually just looks super easy, everything. So here's a long straight section, 4th gear and then down to 3rd again. And then small tabletop. And now you'll see the cameraman getting confused, trying to catch fast Coach Toby with the camera. And then we get to the rhythm section now with a small tabletop. And then a bigger tabletop, and then the biggest tabletop there of that rhythm section. And on that last big tabletop, Actually, I can feel this 450 is stronger than a Yamaha YZ250F full-blood motocross bike. And then here's the 75-foot tabletop, and you can see I did a little whip there. And this is just a habit that I do actually normally when I ride. And then when I feel more comfortable, I'll go bigger. But I was happy to see that this bike can do it. Even though it is heavier, it's a bit more slow to come back to straight than what I'm used to when I'm riding full-blood motocross bikes. But hey, so far so good. It's actually doing really well clearing these jumps, and I'm very surprised to see that there's no feeling of bottoming out when you clear the jumps properly and land on the down ramp. So this is a huge success. I really think Honda did a great job building this bike to be able to do both enduro trail riding and then also do proper motocross riding. And I mean doing the jumps just like you would do on a normal motocross race bike. And most importantly, be street legal at the same time. This is very impressive. Okay, so I'm done with my first riding session on the 450RL, and I must say I'm very pleasantly surprised. It's fully capable of motocross. I cleared the two biggest jumps on the track, and I checked the zip tie right after, and there was still 5 centimeters left of travel. So let's have a look down here. So this is what it looks like if you land perfectly on the down ramp on a 75-foot jump or about 25 meters. Okay, and then I also tried to over jump the jump completely. I think I went 90 foot. And let's have a look at the helmet camera for my over jumping this big tabletop. So here you can see completely landing flat and really getting wild there on the landing. Getting shaken but not stirred, as James Bond describes his drink. And let's have a look at it again here, but in slow motion. So I was just giving it the normal amount of gas that I do on my Yamaha 250F, but on the 450 it just goes way further, and I just landed hard. But it wasn't an uncomfortable bottoming out feeling. It was actually very comparable to a real motocross bike, like how hard it bottomed out. Wasn't any different, I would say, than my Yamaha YZ250F would have done. It just stung in my wrist a little bit for 1 minute, and then I felt great and the bike was okay. And I landed, I flat landed basically. So the suspension is very comparable to a motocross suspension. But you know, the CRF450RL comes from the CRF450R, which is a full-blood motocross bike. It's just slightly softened up in the suspension, as far as I understand it. Now for the second testing session, what we did was we slowed the rebound on the shock completely down, so we turned the screw all the way in clockwise because it felt kind of springy and not planted, and also the rear suspension felt softer than the front suspension, so I had a tendency to fly front and high on most of the jumps, so I had to be more over the handlebars, more over the front for the jumps, and I had to brake tap the front down on a lot of these jumps. Cornering also went quite well. Now we're watching a bit of cornering here. But the rear suspension seems like it's a bit softer, even on the hottest setting, than the front suspension. So we tried to firm that up a bit. And also it felt like if you land a little bit sideways, it got a little bit too wild and started fishtailing because of the fast rebound. But it definitely did help to give it those 5 clicks all the way in. And here we see the rhythm section again here. But if you land clean and straight, it's fully rideable. It's not a problem at all for riding the bike well and having fun and being safe. It's just a little bit of fine-tunement that can be done. So the next thing we're gonna do on the second testing day will be to try to work on the sag as well on the rear suspension. I've been riding motocross for 20 years. So I definitely have tried many different kind of suspension settings, and this one does the job. So here we have a bike that can do both trail riding enduro with the softest setting really well, and you can take it on the motocross track and do big jumps as well really well without having to update or change the suspension valving or spring rates or anything, if you're normal weight, of course. So I'm like 70 kilos. Now I can't wait to get out and do some more laps. So follow along. We'll do some slow motion clips and stuff. Okay, so this was test day number 1 on motocross tracks with the CRF450RL. And the next day we're gonna work on suspension sag and see if we can get it even better and more in tune and more balanced front and rear. But overall, I would say it's a great success how the bike does on a motocross track, and it gets my full approval of being a motocross capable bike right out of the box. So I couldn't be more happy with the outcome and results of this testing video series. Make sure you also check my playlists. I actually got like a bunch of different playlists where all my videos are categorized into different topics, so it's easy to navigate. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, be awesome, and see you on the next one. If you want to learn more tools and techniques and habits that can improve your life quality and performance and well-being overall, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you like tropical island holidays, visit fitcamp5.com for my 2-time TripAdvisor award-winning training camp, where we train fitness and action sports together while learning to live a healthy lifestyle and, maybe most importantly, have fun at the same time. And if you're really serious about improving yourself, you should definitely check out my full online courses, where I share step-by-step programs on how I developed my own routines over the last 12 years as a CEO working in 4 different countries, while being a successful competitive athlete with more than 20 years of experience in fitness and nutrition. Check the link in the description for that. And in any case, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, be awesome, believe in yourself, and see you on the next one.